When something goes wrong with IT at work, chances are you'll be asked to submit a service ticket. This is seemingly a tale as old as time. See a problem, submit a ticket, wait for the service desk to come back to you.
But all this could be set for change. Advances in technology have opened the door to software problems being detected and remediated automatically, while internal learning platforms could also provide employees with the information they need to fix issues themselves.
How will this come together, and is it really just round the corner? You're listening to the IT Pro podcast. Hi, I'm Jane McCallion.
And I'm Rory Bathgate.
Today we're speaking with Samuele Gantner, Chief Product Officer at Nexthink, to get a better understanding of the direction IT support is headed in and why the service desk might soon be a thing of the past. Samuele, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Nexthink recently published research which found that 72% of IT professionals think the traditional service desk will die out in the next 3 years. What's driving this, and are we already seeing progress in this direction?
Absolutely. We've been hearing from customers and the community that there is a change that is happening, right? And we've also been, witnessing that ourselves in our daily interaction. We hear people talking about initiatives such as zero tickets, ticketless IT, shift left is something that has been around for a while. Others are talking about removing the service desk or moving towards something that they call unified support. There are many, many names for things that they look pretty similar in reality. And so we wanted to have a more scientific approach to that and to have a clearer understanding of what was happening. So we did this research together with a research firm. And as you say, 72% of end-user computing professionals believe that the traditional service desk, and I'm quoting, will be extinct by 2027. So there is a big change that is expected. 77% of them are saying that new technologies, obviously AI, we need to mention that early in the show, will render the service desk redundant by 2027. And 87% of them believe that due to the greater complexity that enterprise IT is facing today, incident response as we know it today will become they say, economically unsustainable unless service desk will shift to something that is much more proactive with respect to what we're witnessing today. So we've seen this evolution of the service desk over the years, right? If you go back in time, maybe 15 years ago, every single request was handled by a human. You had somebody behind that, right? It was a very reactive process. Very often IT was almost using the employees as their alerting system for something going wrong. And it was not necessarily cost effective, right? But somewhat the experience that employees were having when seeking help for a problem was pretty decent because they could immediately reach somebody that was skilled and professional and was able to help them, right? And then starting from 2018, that's a little bit when this came into play, and then faster with COVID, we started seeing chatbots entering the market and becoming more and more adopted, more and more mainstream. Now, the main goal of chatbots was pretty much ticket deflection, right? And so what ended up happening, not everywhere, but in many cases, is that we somehow outsourced the work of the service desk to the employees. Because the chatbot were answering with knowledge-based articles saying, okay, you have this lengthy procedure of steps that you need to take. And that was maybe more cost-effective, but from the point of view of the employee seeking help when they cannot get their job done, it was not always ideal. Maybe the older model was better from their perspective. So we're facing this type of paradox, right? Where employees don't like tickets. We know the employees, they try to stay away from opening tickets in the first place because, first of all, many of them, they don't even know how to open a ticket, where to go. They don't want to fill these long forms. They don't want to take time and wait to get updates for somebody that is asynchronously working on that. They expect immediate help, right? Actually, they expect in the first place IT to be invisible. They expect not to have a problem in the first place. But when something happens, they want immediate help. The other aspect of this paradox is that the solutions that have been put in place in the past to solve that, so these chatbots, are disappointing. And this is where you see people, typing human a sort of cry for help to get escalated to a person. So it's clear, in my opinion, that something needs to change, and things are changing, right?
So what are some of the changes that we are seeing? I mean, you mentioned AI. I understand that there are some other elements of automation when it comes to these sort of questions that go beyond chatbots even.
Absolutely. We see this as really three dimensions and three levels of action that need to take place in order to bring this change. The first one is becoming more proactive through automation. So by always maintaining a healthy state of the environment, by self-feeling common problems that are happening in real time as they happen, then a lot of incidents and a lot of problems can be avoided in the first place. I give a simple example, right? But imagine that SCCM or the Intune agents are not working. This is not something that has an immediate effect on the employee or the device because it's a background service. So if it stops working, nothing happens right now. But in a week, a month, 3 months, we're going to start to see problems on that particular device because the device is not going to get updates, it's not going to get patches, it's not going to get new policies and so on and so forth. And this will inevitably lead to an incident. So by putting in place this proactive approach where key health indicators in the environment are continuously monitored, you can solve a lot of things down the line. So that's the first line of defense that people are shifting towards. The second one is moving to making the chatbot something that can really solve the problem. And here is where especially artificial intelligence coupled with automations are coming into play, right? So rather than having the chatbot blindly answering with some knowledge-based articles, more modern approaches use data and telemetry to understand the root causes of problems that people are facing, and then use automation to automatically resolve these problems in real time together with the employee. And when this is applied properly, you can actually get to a level of experience that is better than a human. It's better because you don't have to wait for somebody to become available, right? AI is always there, is always available. And when you do that, you see the role of humans shifting from doing the work to actually supervising the work, which is very, very interesting. And then at a certain point, at least with today's technology, not 100% of the incident can be solved through this type of AI and automation, right? And that's the moment where you escalate to a team that is still responsible and is still available to solving the problem. But we see these teams changing a little bit the name, right? It's no longer your service desk, but it might become something that many are calling, for instance, the DEX operations team. That is empowered to solve problems on a larger scale and maybe in a more cross-disciplinary way compared to before.
How much of this at this stage is about reducing cost in IT and how much of it is about improving that employee experience?
When we look at what companies are doing and what we're hearing from our customers is a little bit of both, right? Obviously, there is a driver to reduce cost. I think all companies today are looking at cost-saving initiatives. And so there is some level of expectation that overall headcounts will reduce in some way or the other, right? That said, I think it also means opportunities for the people working in user computing today. I give you an example, right? I've been working for the past 5 years with a large company in the US in the healthcare and life sciences business. And since 5 years, they've been running this program where they started with the traditional service desk, right? And then they decided to take 2-3 people in the service desk and change their job description. So rather than working in this firefighting way, fixing one ticket at a time, their new mission became to be proactive and to proactively solve problems at scale in the environment. As they started to apply that, they saw the number of incoming tickets starting to decrease. Less ticket means more availability for people to shift to this proactive approach, right? And so they kept doing that, shifting from traditional level 1 to proactive approach, and they had huge gains. It was a huge career opportunities for the people doing the job. It was a cost-saving opportunity, but also at the same time, it was great for the employees because there was less downtime. So when you look at the service responses, we see similar patterns happening, right? They started 5 years ago. Many companies are starting now and are doing this today. But 96% of respondents say that the new technology, and especially those around AI and automation, make them excited about the future career opportunities in user computing. And it's true. I personally feel very privileged to be in this field in this era because what is happening is mind-blowing around that. 96% are also saying that the rapid evolution of end-user computing is an attractive career opportunity for them. And 92% feel that the service desk will not necessarily disappear, but will evolve into something that they start to call the experience desk, that more holistically looks at what is the end-to-end employee experience, not only limited to solving IT tickets. Actually, I had the opportunity to work with a large financial institution in Europe. And in their case, they decided to fusion together IT and HR. And they came up with this new department that is doing both. And the synergies are extremely interesting. The patterns that you see there are very exciting because I think even the type of profiles that you get when you merge the two are very complementary to each other. So I think at the end, this is an opportunity for both. On one end, reducing cost, obviously, but the other end, also dramatically improving the employee experience and productivity.
I think for me, there are certainly some benefits that I can see. For people who work in IT support, there is less dealing with the real layer one. Is your monitor actually plugged in? Have you tried turning it off and on again? Type stuff. And also the proactive monitoring in the back end is something that I'm familiar with, and others might be as well, from manufacturing and sort of IoT type stuff where it has worked very well. I do wonder, though, from the point of view of the employee, if shifting some of the fixing onto them, which I understand is also part of this, enabled by an AI, is going to be something that they want, or really a good experience. Because just speaking as an individual who is not an IT professional, if I have a problem and I am stuck with an AI that's trying to tell me how to troubleshoot it myself, it's taking a long time and I'm getting more and more frustrated. Just basically the other end of this equation, not the IT professional end, but the user end. I could just see it being potentially a bit frustrating.
Look, you're totally right. I mean, for me, the best IT is the IT that you don't even know that it exists, right? It needs to be invisible. It means that you don't need to feel any pain. It's a little bit like, music. When you watch a great movie, you don't necessarily consciously realize that there is a soundtrack behind, right? It's so perfectly blended with respect to the experience that is just something that is accompanying you. And in the same way, I believe we should have IT, right? People should never experience a problem with IT. And this is the goal. This is the end goal. Now, unfortunately, the reality, especially in the enterprise IT environment, where complexity is much higher compared to the consumer world, right? There is more application, more regulations, more security tools, more limitation in some way, shape, or form that need to be part of this environment, but also more complexity with applications. So this means that the seamless experience is not yet something that is possible, right? So the question is, how do we react when something happens? And I think the fundamental shift that the industry is looking at bringing here is to use the new opportunities that technology is giving us, especially in the last 2 years with Gen AI coming into play, to make sure that the experience that you get when you face a problem interacting with AI is actually better than what you get interacting with a person. But this only works if AI is smart enough to do real-time diagnostics and to automate in real time what you're facing. And also, it needs to give you the opportunity to escalate to a person at any point in time, right? So if it forces you to stick with AI and you start to get frustrated, then that's exactly the moment where you should be able to talk to a person and to get immediate help. I don't believe that we will completely see human interactions disappear in these fields. we're always going to need somebody to pick up the phone when there is a complete urgency, right? But I think we have an opportunity as an industry here to really build something that is providing a better experience for employees and giving back some of the productivity times, which, by the way, it's not always easy to quantify, right? When people are thinking about what is the ROI, looking at that, many leaders are looking at ROI at something that is hard dollar figures. When you're talking about employee productivity, we're giving back 30 minutes per day for every single person. What does it mean? How do you measure that exactly? What changes for the company? So it's not necessarily the easiest measure, but it's definitely something that can bring great benefits within companies.
For some IT professionals, not all of them, but I'd imagine there's a good few of our listeners who have done their time on the IT service desk early in their careers. Is this going to remove the foot in the door for early career IT professionals when they can then move up? While the people who are already in these roles can upskill, how is it removing a route into IT for other people who would like to join the profession?
I believe not necessarily, right? Maybe the route to IT will be slightly different, but it will still be there. Absolutely. Let's look at it from this perspective. The mission of IT, at the end of the day, it's always been to help humans, right? If you think about computers in the first place, why do we have computers? We have computers because we want to enhance our human brain capabilities. And this has always been the case. Yet, the mission of IT, that in theory is really related to providing this infrastructure that we need, has been often interpreted as something that is much more tactical. That is about, just making technology work, but not necessarily having this point of view of doing something for the business, right? And I think what we're witnessing now is just a change in the expectation. It's a change in the expectations where the mission of IT is getting elevated. It's not only break and fix and the basic things about, solving a slow boot, a slow logon, or running out of disk space, but it's about how do we make people embrace technology in a more productive and seamless way. And so I believe we're going to see a clear evolution of the responsibilities of IT, which means that there are very, very exciting entry points, opportunities for people that want to approach this. We're still going to have these technology-oriented entry points, but maybe they will be facilitated by AI. But on top of that, we're going to see opportunities around using IT to foster digital awareness and digital adoption toward employees. And this is a huge, huge topic that we're seeing in the industry, right? You can have the best IT on the planet where everything works seamlessly all the time. But if employees are not aware of these technologies or they don't know how to use and consume them, then you don't get the end value around that, right? So think about the entry-level opportunities for people to help drive this new generation of IT that not only is focusing on the technology itself, but is focusing on the end-to-end holistic value and adoption of technology. It needs to work. It needs to be adopted. It needs to lead to business outcomes. I think it's a very interesting time, actually, to start a career in IT today.
Bearing all of this in mind, will new roles need to be created to better suit this changing approach from IT teams? And how can IT workers expect their own workloads to change?
I think we're going to witness both situations, right? On one end, one of the patterns that we're seeing is that employees are creating less tickets, but automation systems are now the ones that are generating these tickets, right? In the sense that we're still detecting problems. It's just that the detection is not happening from the point of view of employees. Employees are no longer the alerting system of IT, but observability is becoming this entry point. And this means that these situations, these incidents, they need to be resolved. So we still need people to do that type of work, right? On the other end, when it comes about the new roles, we're definitely seeing that as well. All of this artificial intelligence, all of this automation is not coming into place on its own. somebody needs to tell the system what to do, at least with the technology that we're seeing today and in the next couple of years, right? So we're seeing a transformation of some of the jobs that IT are doing today from executing the playbook to actually writing the playbook. And here's where you see all of these, for instance, no-code automation platforms, they come into play because now the IT personnel can focus their time on using their knowledge, their understanding of the environment, and their understanding of the technology to write these particular playbooks. One of the new roles that we're also starting to see is the role of AI supervisors, where AI is recommending certain resolutions, certain form of actions to take, but then you want somebody to validate what is the AI is suggesting and to make sure that is meaningful, right? So we're seeing all of these opportunities of AI, but we also need to consider what are the mechanisms that we want to put in place to make sure that we don't abuse the power of AI. Do we really want to give all the keys to perform any type of arbitrary action to AI? Well, probably not yet. Probably we still want a human in the loop that says, okay, this is the limit beyond which you don't necessarily want to go. So these new roles are something that is offering a tremendous career opportunity for many IT workers today.
In the report itself, there is some distinction made between the service desk and the front line, and you've spoken a little bit about this balance between reactive and proactive that IT workers are currently asked to strike. Will frontline IT workers also see their workload shift in relation to all of this, or is it mainly the service desk that can expect the biggest changes?
I think both will experience changes. Now, frontline, especially if you think about desk side support and IT workers that are closer to the employees, it's something that is very important, and it's related a little bit to a cultural change, right? We talked about all of the reasons why these changes are happening in the service desk, but what is the real driver for that? I think the real driver is a cultural change that is driven by us employees, if you want. And at the same time, we have the new technological opportunities, right? But the real drivers is employees. And the cultural change, you can label it as maybe the consumerization of IT, if you want. But what is happening is that the experience from IT support is now compared to, what you want from the Apple Genius Bar or Amazon customer service, or, when you do a Google search, it's just very seamless, right? So if corporate IT is not fast, is not intuitive, people are going to look for workarounds. By the way, there is the whole chapter of shadow IT. Probably we don't want to go into that. Is it a threat? Is it an opportunity? It's probably both. But so what we're seeing when you think about that is that people want this seamless consumer-like experience when it comes to IT. And we see some of our very successful customers, they have these experience centers where you can walk in with your computer, with your devices, and get immediate support by a human with a very, very high level of expertise and customer service as well. You can go there to get your device replaced, and they might be able to replace it in 10 minutes, bringing all your data to the new one. But you might go there with a very technical question around how to use an application, and they're going to provide the same level of service. We even have customers that have vending machines delivering new equipment like headphones or even laptops when somebody needs that. So we're seeing some of this frontline work becoming much closer to high quality customer service that you can expect in high-end retail rather than the traditional ITs in a basement kind of things that we maybe saw 10 years ago.
So as we teased in the introduction, you've talked about this happening in the next 3 years. What can leaders expect in 2025 and going forward?
I believe that 2025 will be a very significant year for these changes to occur. So what we saw in the past 2-3 years in terms of automation and Gen AI is mostly preparing the environments for that. So if you look at the actual outcomes of Gen AI today, there are not that many quantifiable outcomes yet. Right? Everybody has become a little bit more productive because of Copilot or ChatGPT, but it's not being a massive shift. What is happening now is that all the vendors, all the companies, all the softwares have been working behind the scenes for the past 2 years around really embedding something that works around that. And what we're seeing and what we expect is that 2025 is where we're going to start to really see the return of investment of these initiatives taking place. So we can expect, I believe, a great acceleration when it comes to that. And at the same time, automation systems are now being put in place, and we can see the benefit of that. So in the past, it was about bringing up kind of the easy examples, the trivial cases, making sure that, as I was mentioning earlier, SCCM works or Intune works or DSpace or these type of things. And now the technologies, but also the processes and the understanding of people has matured enough that we're starting to see much more complex processes being put into motion. For instance, one of these processes that we see very often that is related to efficiency and cost saving is automating the removal of software that is not used. Huge opportunity to save in software licenses, but also automating provisioning of new hardware or more advanced tasks like that. So, although we expect that big, massive changes maybe are not yet for 2025, I do believe that we will see a massive improvement, especially when it comes to proactivity and automating tasks that are previously much more time consuming.
Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for this episode, but Samuele, thank you very much for joining us.
As always, you can find links to all of the topics we've spoken about today in the show notes, and even more on our website at itpro.com.
You can also follow us on LinkedIn, as well as subscribe to our daily newsletter. Don't forget to subscribe to the IT Pro podcast wherever you find podcasts, and if you're enjoying the show, let us know by leaving a rating or a review.
We'll be back next week with more from the world of IT, but until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.